Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I don't know if this is going to be a hard one, but it's definitely going to be an honest one. Like, I'm already a bit tired just before I even have this conversation. It's about mental health. Yeah, we're finally talking about it. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So about maybe a week ago, I had gone to see a friend of mine at her shop. And so this young man walks in. He's probably not more than 24, 25. And he's trying to sell us something. So imagine we're in the middle of a conversation, right? And so we didn't really ignore him, but we brushed him off. And he turns and he says, "Oh, I recognize you." And we were in the middle of a conversation, so we didn't really give him that much time. He comes back after like maybe 15, 20 minutes and says, "I know who you are." "Flavia." I said, "Yeah. Why don't you advocate for mental health?" And it was so random. I'm like, as in? Yeah, I've struggled with a lot of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and I don't hear you speaking about this stuff on your YouTube channel. It was such an open call out that I wasn't ready. But then I thought also there'll never be a perfect time to speak about mental health. Let's just start the conversation so that we get the elephant out of the room, and then we're able to have such conversations openly and honestly within time. So I have and still have a lot of anxiety attacks. I have been through depression. I've been through actually, I've sat at the bottom before, hugged the bottom, chilled with the bottom, as in, yeah, I have a card from the bottom. So I can't say I've been where you've been because we all have different experiences, but I know what depression looks like. I've experienced it once, twice, three, yeah. But I think if you've been through it and you've healed through it or are healing through it, you know that it takes a lot for you to open up. It takes a lot for you to speak up. And so for me, I had never found a place where I had found comfort for me to be able to open up about mental health. But I think this is it. It's now or never. So where do I start with all of this? I've really thought about it. I wrote, and I said, for me to start this conversation about mental health or mental wellness, I wanted to start it from, how do you recognize that you are going through a hard time? How do you recognize that the things you're dismissing are actually things that are pushing you to the edge? Okay? Now, I need to stress this. I'm not an expert. I'm just a friend. I'm just speaking to you from my heart, speaking to you about things I've gone through or I've experienced or I've seen. It's very important you see a specialist, you see an expert who can help and guide you to figure out what's going on, what's truly going on, and how you can actually truly be helped. Okay? So I remember, I think it was 2016 into 2017, and probably that was my worst time. I remember I actually stood up to go to the bathroom, and I entered the bathroom, closed the door. There was no one in the house, meanwhile. But I remember just bursting out in tears, sat on the floor, and just cried. Just cried. You know that it was so weird because I was like, what happened? Why am I crying? I could not explain it. It was just tears, uncontrollable, and there were no thoughts running in my mind. It was just tears on the bathroom floor, and I cried and cried for what seemed an eternity. And then I got up and I was like, what was that? What was that I was experiencing, and why? And I went back to sleep, and the next day went on and on and on with life. And it then just became worse and worse because you'd have moments where you just shut down and you just can't do it, can't go on, can't speak to people, can't fix things, can't work, just can't. And you can't explain it. And you're like, actually, I would dismiss it as I'm tired, I had a long day, I've not slept enough, and this and that. But eventually, when I started my healing journey, I realized it was so much trauma, so many issues that I had not had a chance to sit down and actually confront, sit down and actually unveil and say, I didn't heal from that issue. I didn't heal from that. I didn't heal from. So they've piled up, and that's what's messing me up. So on a day when I'd lash out and just yell at everyone at the office, I would assume, I'm just sleep deprived. No, it was just pent up anger and bitterness that I had held because issues were not fixed in my own life. So eventually, when I, started the journey of self-healing, I figured out how to define things, how to identify triggers, how to know what my real issue is for this season and for the next season. Like, I'm so, as the young people call it, woke right now, okay? But my first conversation with you, before I even get into it, I want to just remind you, you're not alone. If you're going through something that just is overwhelming you, whatever caused it, if you're just in a place where you want to give up, please don't. You're not alone. People have experienced things and have made it out. I am not going to compare your issue with theirs. You know that thing when people say, people have gone through worse. No. My issue is the worst to me. So me, I'm not going to give you that jazz. I'm going to just tell you, you're not alone. Please don't give up. If you've watched this vlog, if you're watching this vlog, do not dare give up. There's so many wonderful stories we're going to tell each other. So if you give up now, we're not going to get that chance, okay? So my first conversation is around, how do I know I'm at the bottom? How do I know I need help? How do I know I need to start checking myself? Okay? The first one is, for me especially, I felt like there was just an overwhelm of information. I felt like, the best way to describe it is I couldn't catch a break. Okay? Every day just seemed long. It just seemed like so many things were happening. Like I was doing so many things. People were asking me so many things. Everybody needed me in so many ways. You know when you just get to a point you're like, but it's just, I'm only one human being. I can't split myself into 30 people. That's the kind of overwhelm I was getting. I felt like everybody needed me. I felt like all the information was coming at me. I felt like, let me just, you know how there's that thing on YouTube where it's watch later, so you can save so many videos and say you'll watch them later. Imagine if you got like 3,000 videos on watch later. When are you going to watch them? Which later is that? So imagine that kind of overwhelm. That's how I felt. So if you've been in a place, or you're in a place where you feel like, man, every day is worse than the other. I just feel like so much is pushing in. So many people are coming from this direction and this direction. Everybody's asking for this. Even me, I need to do this, I need to feel this, I need just an overwhelm of information. Sweetie, you might be at a point where you actually need to talk to someone. You might be at a point where you need to slow down. You might be at a point where you just need help, because that's not a good sign. In fact, you're heading for burnout. In fact, you're heading for a place that's not good, okay? You're heading for a panic attack. So just, if you're like that, if you're feeling like that and you've taken it as, that's just me, check yourself. The second thing that for me made me realize I needed help was I was replacing the feelings with something else. Okay, so rather than deal with whatever trauma it was, so let's say you've lost a parent, rather than deal with the fact that I've lost a parent, I've lost a friend, I've lost somebody, let me deal with the pain, you just replace the feelings with something else. Replace the feelings with work, replace the feelings with going out, replace the feelings with just immerse yourself in a book, just anything else but to feel. Okay, and I did that so many times to so many things, to so many situations. I'll just say, I want to do everything else except feel this thing that has brought me pain. I don't want to fix it. In fact, I want to ignore it. I want to delete it. It's like when you're ghosting someone, but this time you're ghosting your own feelings. You get? So it was so bad that the thing is, you don't fix this one, you layer it on with another feeling, then you're dealing with this trauma and somebody triggers you in a certain way. You keep that also because you can't deal. You're just replacing them. You replace them with work, you replace them with food. Yeah, some people replace them with suicidal thoughts. Just you replace you don't want to feel. If you're at that point, I think seek help. If you're at that point, let's deal with it. Okay. The third thing is what I would call a coping mechanism. Everyone copes differently, by the way. Yeah, when people go through depression or anxiety or any disorder, they cope differently. And so for me, my coping was work. Okay, my coping mechanism was pretense. In fact, I had crammed a voice, a look, a walk to show I'm okay. You know when people say, how are you? And you say, I'm fine. Me, I wouldn't just say, I had rehearsed my I am okay voice, I am okay look. That you would be convinced. In fact, that if I told you what I'd gone through maybe in that year, you'd be like, really? You seem so happy. because I had learned how to cope. I had learned my mechanism was to just show up and show out. Okay, so friend, if you're that person, just between me and you know it. You know you're pretending. You know you're masking your feelings. You know that nobody around you knows. In fact, people live with you in the house, your mom, your dad, your housemate, your friends, your spouse, your children, and they know nothing. Okay? You wait for everybody to move, you take your 5 minutes, you bust out. I know. I know that's a coping mechanism, but it's not a good thing. We have to deal with these things. We have to deal with why we are hurt. So if you have been saying, me, I'm good, because when it comes, I deal with it by just keeping quiet. I deal with it by just showing up. I deal with it by just... That coping mechanism could break you real soon. So if you're just like me, you need help. Talk to someone, an expert, talk to a friend. Just don't give up, okay? The other thing I noticed, I used to make rash decisions. I used to just throw either money at something or throw solutions at something. Let me explain. Rash decisions is like you don't even think through things. You hire people without thinking through it. You talk to people without thinking. You fire people without thinking through it. You just quickly, let's just make this decision and go. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. You know, you feel like time is running out. You just need to decide on things quickly. You just need to make decisions. Even when they go wrong, you let them go. As in, you just, those rush. But let me tell you, and I don't know if you remember that vlog, guys. I think I just given birth and I just gotten back to work. And man, I had, first of all, I had prenatal and then postpartum depression. I've shared that with you. Now, my postpartum depression wrapped, and then I think went through my own depression. And I thought the coping thing was to work. So I went and quickly set up a business, quickly did many, many things at the same time. Everything else except deal with the fact that I was a new mom. You understand? I love my son, but I think there was just something about me looking at my life before I was a mom and a wife and my life now. I was more afraid of creating this new life and sitting and enjoying this new life because it was new for me. And sometimes I think, they say better the devil, than really, don't even ever use that saying. But it was more comfortable for me to go into the work and throw myself into the work than it was to create these beautiful memories and be a wonderful wife and a wonderful mother to my son because it was new for me. And so that change was hard for me to accept. And so I threw myself in work. And what I ended up doing is work with people I shouldn't have worked with, take business opportunities I shouldn't have been involved in the first place. I hurt people I shouldn't have hurt. People hurt me who shouldn't even have been in my path because I was just saying, this one, hey, they're doing this, let them join me. This one, let's do a partnership. This one, let's do, oh my God. Too many decisions trying to fix the problem with the wrong solution, So if you find yourself at a place where you're making rash decisions, fixing everything quickly, slow down a bit and reflect. Something might be there that you need to actually work on, yeah? The second last thing is giving up. I know this should have been at the end, but you find yourself at a point where you are giving up. And giving up is in different facets. There are people who give up and you find they can't get up from maybe their rooms or the couch or wherever they are seated. They don't want to find life outside. They don't want to see what the day has ahead for them. They've given up, They don't want to know what this life has in store for them. So they're suicidal. They tell you, can you believe this relationship ended? I can't believe my life. I had wasted my years. I'd given up my life for this person. I feel like I shouldn't live. I should die. You've heard people say that, right? Many times we reference these things as if they're just things, but that's giving up. And then there's people who give up by just retreating and walking away from things. Like they were talking to you, you were happy 1 minute, next thing you know, they're gone. And then you take all your time with no closure, just hating, not knowing that person is dealing with a lot. And for them, they just give up. So giving up is in many facets. And if you're in that place where you've just given up, you've given up on enjoying life, you've given up on smiling, you've given up on trying, you've given up on working, you've given up on loving, yeah, that's not good. Check yourself and let's start the work. Let's start the work on healing ourselves. We deserve so much more. We are so much more than this unhappy place. We are so much more than these lies on our lives, okay? And the last one is being bitter. Oh my God, I can't explain to you that there are people who met me in those years when I was really going through the worst depression who will tell you I'm the worst person on the planet. I might be. But that time, oh my God, Lord, somebody says something and you have sparked. You're annoyed, you're angry, you're yelling, somebody's late for 5 minutes and you have turned the room upside down. You know, you're just bitter. You know, you see another woman looking a certain way. She must be this. You know, you start getting envious, you start getting jealous. You're just bitter because there's something not right with you. And so you can't find something right in anybody else. Do you understand? You're not in a good place. So you're wondering why somebody else is in a good place. Why are you smiling? Why are you happy? Why is she celebrating? You know, we're the kinds of people when you're in a bitter place, maybe you want to get married. I'm just putting out an example here. And you can't seem to find love. Everybody you date, you know, it's not working out. And then somebody puts a picture of them and their fiancé and say, just got married. And you're like, it will end in tears, premium tears even. You think men are like, and you start giving a whole essay. Nobody asked you. But you know what? I don't blame you. It's because you're also in a place of hurt. Do you understand? So if you find yourself bitter too many times and too often, you need to check yourself. There's something within you that you need to fix, that you haven't fixed. And so it's calling out in the worst way possible. Okay? That was part one. So part two, we're going to talk about triggers because I used that word a couple of times in this vlog and I couldn't put everything in one. So grab something to drink. Share with me in the comments section how you're feeling, truly how you're feeling. And then I'm going to talk to you about triggers, how I discovered mine, what it is, and how I'm sort of walking away from it, and how I notice or how I foolproof or trigger-proof my life, if that even exists. But once again, I like to stress, I'm not an expert. I'm just speaking from my heart because this is a safe space. I just want to tell you that you're not alone. Everybody goes through a hard time. Everybody. No matter the amount of money they have, no matter the amount of wealth they have, no matter who they are, what schools they went to, what kind of life they're living, they all go through the worst times possible. Hang in there. Hold on. Okay? It's going to be okay. So in the next vlog, catch you coming back, right? Bye.